Russell Wilson. Green Bay allowing the 6th fewest points to quarterbacks over the last month. Are you sweating?
You know, this to me is like a first date sweat, right? You're excited, you're a little nervous, you're optimistic. I feel fine starting Russell Wilson, right? Because we know how good he is. We saw the cookbook earlier of Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. But you can be a little bit nervous and just kind of temper your expectations, but you're still going to go on that first date because you want that free dinner.
Yeah, also, maybe cook on the first date as well, Russ would.
I like the segment that says I love you on the first date, so things, you know.
Up next, Rank, fantasy managers who are still streaming Sam Darnold in Arizona, sweat or no sweat.
What is happening right now? What did you just say?
Dude, don't
you think about the things I say in chill broth. I don't know. Anyways, raging waters here for Sam Darnold for a multitude of reasons. Like, number one, I don't like the matchup. The Arizona Cardinals have been very stingy against opposing quarterbacks, and Sam hasn't played well over the last couple of weeks. And as somebody who's been a huge fan of his going back to his time down at San Clemente High School, home of the Tritons, I feel invested in him doing well, and it just hasn't been there. No touchdowns, 4 interceptions in his last 3 games, so I'm definitely sweating this one.
Is a Triton a male mermaid?
Yeah,
okay.
A merman.
Merman, got it.
Very important. Wetness, the essence of
like beauty. At the end of
Cynthia, Jonathan Taylor, your RB2 on the season. But this week, the #1 defense over the past 4 weeks against running backs, the surprising Jacksonville Jags, sweat or no sweat?
I'm as dry as a Sahara Desert. I don't worry about this one at all. The interesting part when you go back and watch those Jags games, yeah, they got a good amount of pressure on Josh Allen, but this is a totally different O-line. I am not worried about Jonathan Taylor's production against the Jaguars and what should be a more normal kind of outcome this week. We saw a lot of weird outcomes last week. I think we see people being more who they are this week, meaning Jonathan Taylor's gonna be great.
Less weirdness. I like that. I'll take Adrian Peterson in a mini revenge game against the Saints. And for me, I'm just saturated here. Despite what Matty Ice and company did to them a week ago, this remains one of the best run defenses in football. And Tennessee was always committed to running the ball because of the player doing it, and Derrick Henry. I don't think we're waiting on Adrian Peterson to get his 18th carry. I'm just underwater here for Adrian Peterson against the Saints. Kimmy, what about the rookie, Michael Carter against the Bills, who are allowing the 6th fewest fantasy points to running backs the past 4 weeks? Sweat or no sweat?
I'm not sweating it, and this one's just purely because of the volume, right? He's had at least 19 touches in 2 of the last 3 games, and he's averaging just over 18 fantasy points since week 5. So just on volume alone, I understand that maybe he won't have those fantasy points that we would have expected the last few weeks, but I feel fine starting.
No worries there. Let's get to Terry McLaurin, Rank, facing the best team against wideouts since back in week 6, the Buccaneers. No sweat?
You know what? A lot of people call him Scary Terry. You know what else is scary for people? When they see the word moist appear on their screen.
Dude, cut it out.
So, cut it out. I can't help it. You know what? He's been a top 45 fantasy wide receiver once in his last 4 games. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have not allowed a receiver to top 20 fantasy points in 5 consecutive contests. So, you know what?
If he is allowed to use the M word, we should be allowed to compare things to Rank's ankles.
That is true.
That only
they
seems
did
fair.
legislate that out. Like, you can't talk about my dry.
So ashy.
Let's get to the next player. So Rank Line Moist is not on the screen any longer.
No, it's still there.
I just realized.
Get it up.
Wait, hold on.
Immediately associated with your name.
Oh, they took it. They took
Wait,
it.
let me say. Oh, why'd you take it down?
It's gone. It's gone because we're going to get to Justin Jefferson.
Put the pop back up for a second.
No.
I just want somebody in an airport just to be sitting there sipping an IPA, looking at their screen. Like, what is the word moist on my screen?
And what does it have to do with Adam Rank? But let's talk about Justin Jefferson at the Chargers, allowing the 5th most fantasy points to wide receivers the past few weeks. Sweat or no sweat?
Well, I'm keeping mine not disgusting, and I'm going to say that I'm as sweaty as wearing a Minnesota parka in Los Angeles, because I do not like this matchup whatsoever when I look at the Chargers and specifically Derwin James and his impact on where the space happens to be. Yeah, that's kind of where Jefferson does his best work. So this is not a great matchup, and by the way, they've allowed the fewest catches to wide receivers this season, they being the Chargers. Not a gross pop. Just so
I don't know. The word parka makes me. Ew.
I will keep the space theme because I've got Bobby Trees, who is at San Francisco, and this is just interstellar space. Woods has been on fire since week 3, just because he's not putting up Cooper Kupp numbers. Breaking news, nobody else is. Like, stop being mad at Bobby Trees for not putting up Kupp numbers. The 49ers had to put Josh Norman on the bench to insert Dre Kirkpatrick. It's bad out there, man. There's just no liquid for thousands of astronomical units. I am not concerned for Mr. Trees.